Which is the launching event for the Lopez Museum's 50th anniversary celebration, has to do with the idea of the museum being a site for weaving of stories. So the way we work with that is that we chose artists who we feel work with that on their own. So they may be either working in terms of textile or they're interested in how narratives unfold. So for threads, we picked up artists like, first one is Abaya, who is known as a production designer, but is also a visual artist and video artist. He's doing an installation which references how people view art objects and how we're involved in how objects gain meaning. Then there is Jef Carnay, who is doing a performance and producing an installation that takes off from the Dalena's Talo, which is from his High Alay series. There is Kiri Dalena, who will be doing a video installation using images that come from the library archive. We have a very rich photo archive in the museum. And then we have Myra Beltran, who is doing an excerpt from Itim Asu, which is a modern ballet that takes off from the killing of Governor General Bustamante, which is a piece which we have in the museum. And then we have Wizer, who is doing work that takes off from Jose Tense Ruiz's Topless Victoria, which has to do with industrial waste, globalization. And then we have Jean Marie Syjuco, who is taking off from the most iconic piece from the museum collection, which is España y Filipinas. And we also have Abaya and Pamintuan, who will be lending us sculpture that again will play into how we create an environment. We're basically creating an installation within the tent that evokes the idea of how people engage with art and culture and how that feeds into history and lineage.
Okay, so how did you choose the artist, and did they choose their own artwork or was it assigned to them?
There's some going back and forth. As we were choosing the artists, we were thinking that perhaps it would be logical to pair them up with certain objects. But then in the end, of course, because they're co-leads, that's how we look at them. We ask them if this is something that interests them and if they'd like to work with another object, that would be something we can also consider. So it's very collegial.
And then all the artists, parang they all collaborate. Kasi parang one artist, for example, and is connected to another.
Yeah, we try to get that to happen. So as the plans were unfolding, we asked them if, given the proposals that they were articulating, is there a way that they could work with each other so that it doesn't look like they're totally disjointed stories within the space. So I won't give you all the details because that kind of defeats the getting you to come. Yeah.
So we can talk about after the fact, maybe again the concept behind it.
Okay, after the fact is the anniversary exhibition, which is going to be open at Lopez Museum by February 12. So even before we actually launched the anniversary. For after the fact, we invited Imelda Cajipe-Endaya, who is a feminist artist who happens to be in the country for this time, and we thought it would be a good opportunity to bring her into conversation with, again, pieces in the collection. Also because I feel as we've been studying what's in the collection, that is, her work represents a gap that I think we should be thinking about. We also invited Antipas or Liboy de Lotabo, who is doing an installation. He's not known for doing installations, but he's doing an installation that also has wall-based work as an element. Then we have Gaston Damag, who is another expatriate Filipino artist who's been living in Paris for several years, who was in the country recently, and he's doing new media work that again references objects that are in the museum. And fourthly, we have Keith Sikat, who is doing a video that takes off from La Barca de Acaronte, which is an iconic Hidalgo work that is in the collection.
So how did you choose all the artists, both in threads and after the fact? Did they volunteer themselves? Or did you
No.
pick them? Did you
Well,
select?
yeah, part of the job of a curator is having a pulse on what kind of art is being done outside of the museum. So you ought to know what kind of works certain artists do, how will that fit into what the museum is doing. So it's always by invitation. And then, like I said earlier, it's always a negotiation between the artist and the institution as well.
So we can talk about the future of the Lopez Museum. What's in store for the next 50 years?
Okay. These are all projections, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. What's in store? I would think that we're very much committed to doing more and more interdisciplinary work, which means we do not limit what we have on show or even the workshops or lectures that we have to what is being done in the visual arts. We try as much as possible to bring in other areas of study and discipline. So you'll see that in the kind of programming that we do. We get visual artists, architects, sociologists, people who we feel have something to say significantly in how what we think of is Filipino. We try to bring them into the museum. So there's that. And we also hope to be continuing to explore partnerships between other institutions that share this kind of concern. Going more into more innovative use of new media, not just gimmick, but as a very deliberate way of getting people who are used to consuming media or material that way into a museum. So just that. And we also hope to, again, service a lot more researchers in terms of the amount of data and images that we're digitizing. We're, along with the anniversary celebration, is that we're launching our new website upon which there will be at least 100,000 images that are indexed and accessible online. So you have researchers who are not in the Philippines who will be able to get to that kind of data.
Thank you. Yes.
Bilis!